So if you've got two grown-ups who have Kindle accounts, you can actually link them and then add two children in, so everyone can share the Kindle books.
Well, that's of no use to me whatsoever, but thanks.
No, I know that, but you just have to be a family member. You could Nicola if she reads.
Oh, I see. Yes, no, I can't really be bothered with that, but I can see where that would be good. The alternative, of course, is that thing that I don't do, where you pay, I don't know, a small sum of money a month and you can read endless amounts of stuff for free, practically.
Someone at the door. That could be the postman. Hold, caller.
Yeah.
He hasn't made an appearance for ages, has he?
No.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Well, hello there, Judith.
Hi, Nicola.
How are you this week?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good today. It's Wednesday, our recording day, and on Monday I had a bad day. I'm on my holidays, as you know, and I was reading a holiday book by John Grisham, and the underlying story was one of big coal companies in America stripping mountains and blowing them up. I just made me so desperately dark about the state of the world, corporate corruption, greed, then the state of the planet, wars, refugees. I just found myself getting very dark. I had to pull an armchair round, look out at my lovely, gorgeous green garden in the sunshine, and bring myself deliberately back to gratitude, doing and me doing my one small bit in the world to help those that I can, and knowing that's enough. What a dark book that was, didn't you think?
I mean, John Grisham, rattling good read at all times, but yeah, it was about them blowing the tops off mountains and then systematically stripping it off layer by layer, wasn't it?
And also, I mean, I know that what he was saying was the truth. The thing about, the miners that get black lung and the corporates have decided it's cheaper to fight them through the courts forever than ever pay them benefits. Oh, please don't start me. So that got me quite down. Tell me something cheerful about your week, please, because fear and darkness is a bit of a recurring theme, I've realised from my notes.
It's funny with those books, isn't it? I mean, I read quite a few thrillers on holiday because I love a good thriller, but the problem is that they are quite dark, and the thrillers I tend to read are all about serial killers, which makes you think that, I remember going to America last October and I was absolutely convinced that if I took a hotel room on the ground floor, I'd be dead meat, as it were. Whereas actually they're very few and far between. But it's a bit like what we were talking about last week, isn't it? The news perpetrating fear and a fearful population being easier to control.
Yes.
So occasionally we dip in and out of the darkness, but yeah, I generally speaking don't like it at all. Are you?
I stay well away from the news, but it can't have failed to escape anybody's attention about all of those people at Calais trying to get into the UK. And when you read the articles about where they're coming from, it reminds you about how many strife-torn, war-torn places in Middle Europe that there are, and how ghastly people's lives are. It's just really, some days, what we've done to the planet and how horrid we are to each other is quite depressing for me.
Well, don't get me started on feminist rant because
No.
I am prone to them because if you may notice, there's not an awful lot of women out there doing awful things to each other.
Well, there's that. Yes. Have you told me one thing about your week?
Well, it's been a funny old week this week. 'Cause it's been restlessness continues. You know,
Yeah.
I still feel the pull to go and live somewhere else, and I can't really understand why someone who is independent in their earnings and who loves the culture and food of other countries would not want to go and live in one of those other countries. But
Do you think you would want to live there full time or just part time?
well, I think it'd be nice to try it again. You know,
Okay. That's
the
interesting.
thing that's holding me here at the moment is the kids because they are
Yeah.
still, Phoebe particularly is still quite, attached to her grown-ups. But within the next year or so, that will probably lessen, I suspect. Or it may not. I don't know. But I was saying to her because we had a conversation with her about it, and I said, would you rather we lived somewhere in the country where you had to drive to come and see us? Or would you rather we lived abroad where you could fly to come and see us and stay for a week and bring, your friends or whoever for holidays? And she said,
Hmm.
well, I don't know really, because I come and see you nearly every day. I think it would be a bit of a wrench if you were somewhere that I couldn't do that. But it's your life and you've got to make decisions really. So,
Yes.
it's,
Yes.
it's not something that is imminent, but it is,
No. No.
I think definitely going abroad again made me think, especially when you think, we're both paying, I don't know, about £1,000 a month rent each, and you could live in Stupa, for example, for €500 a month
Yeah.
in a lovely, gorgeous, hot location where we could have chickens and grow vegetables and do all the
Yes.
stuff that we love
Yes.
to do.
I think, I mean, I am prey to this as well. I think living in a holiday place would be very different from holidaying in a holiday place.
Yes, it would, especially in the winter because it's an awfully quiet place. But
Yeah.
there's Italy, there's France. I mean, that home and away program I watched, they were looking at Aude in France, AUD, and
Yes.
south, quite south, so nice and warm. And she was able to buy incredible 3-bedroom properties for 100 grand. I mean, obviously, I don't know when that.
Yes, but do you know how cold the middle of France is in the middle of winter? It's colder than here. So
It was sort of down south. It
no,
was,
no, even so, because of France's enormous landmass, the centre part, which is most of it, apart from the tiny fringes,
yeah.
it is very cold, Nicola. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, in Europe, you're only really all right for the spring till autumn.
Whereas here we just get like grey, rainy, no snow, no proper winter, no proper summer. It's all a bit grey here for me.
Well, I
Anyway,
do think we've got to do some experimenting between us. But I am aware that what I love about these places when I'm there is the fact that I'm on holiday, which means that I have no responsibilities, no work, and I'm happy. Not that responsibility and work make me unhappy, but they make me businesslike, and it's the freedom on holiday that's the seduction, I think. I'm happy because no one can get me.
well, yeah, perhaps, and as I say, perhaps it was the fact this was the first holiday I've had for a while where I haven't worked at all during it. So
Yes.
perhaps that's what stirred up all these feelings. I don't know, but it's made me want. The other thing it's made me want to do. Actually, no, I'll save that for the project updates.
Okay, all right. So tell me about what's fueled your fire.
Well, what's fueled my fire this week has been Heighton Shah and Stelly FD, who has.
Again, they feature most weeks. Yeah.
I'm totally in love with these two, Judith. I mean, apart from the bootstrap with kids people and the Britstrap people, I mean, I just love this podcast. Episode 20, What Motivates Entrepreneurs and Founders. And bearing in mind that these two are phenomenally successful. Heighton Shah started Kissmetrics, Crazy Egg. He's got another one called I can't remember what it's called now, but it's very good anyway. The new startup, and Stelly FT has got a software called Close.io, and he's incredibly successful as a salesperson. And their podcast is called the Startup Chat, and it is hilarious. It cracks me up. Heighton is just so bright and so sweet, and Stelly just swears like a trooper and is so funny and so full on. But they talk about what motivates entrepreneurs and founders, and it really is worth a read for anyone who's in business for themselves. Stelly thinks that he used to think that people were intrinsically motivated, but now he thinks in terms of having certain strategies to motivate ourselves and things we do to motivate others. And Heighton looks at motivation as what causes someone to take action. And when you figure out what causes someone to take action, you'll know what motivates them. And they're both motivated by different things. It's like, the what fueled your fire section in our podcast. They talk quite movingly actually about what happens when they feel bad and how they motivate themselves and how they get past that stuck feeling. Anyway, brilliant episode. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommended.
Okay, very good. So mine is downtime, continued downtime on my holiday, recharging my batteries, as my dad used to call it, leisure reading specifically. I've got a gazillion samples on my Kindle, which I intend to read all of them, delete all of them, but I'm really enjoying it. And in fact, when we get to Word of the Week, I'm going to tell you about the book that that's been the highlight of my last week. So it's my Kindle content and leisure reading, which is actually not fueling my fire for business at all. It's the antidote, which will and no doubt bring me back storming in September.
I read on holiday the Battersea Park Guide to Enlightenment.
Oh, it's great. Did it make you laugh?
It did make me laugh. I had to keep reading bits out loud to my holiday companions, which annoyed them.
Nicola, my travelling companion, particularly loved the bit about when she goes to a goddess workshop and she has to take off all her clothes and she starts with a sock.
Yes. There were so many funny bits in it. It was hilarious. I highly recommend that. And the companion book to 10% Happier, which is equally funny but set in America. And that was awesome. And did you know, a nice little tidbit this week, you can actually create Kindle families. So if you've got two grown-ups who have Kindle accounts, you can actually link them and then add two children in, so everyone can share the Kindle books.
Well, that's of no use to me whatsoever, but thanks.
No, I know that, but you just have to be a family member. You could Nicola if she reads.
Oh, I see. Yes, no, I can't really be bothered with that. But I can see where that would be good. The alternative, of course, is that thing that I don't do, where you pay, I don't know, a small sum of money a month and you can read endless amounts of stuff for free, practically.
Someone at the door. That could be the postman. Hold, caller.
Yeah.
He hasn't made an appearance for ages, has he?
No.
I've just gone to the door in my curlers again because I haven't.
Oh, lovely.
Poor little tiny man. He was quite startled to see my bright green curlers on the top of my head. Right, where were we?
We were talking about if very affordable. That's the word I like to use instead of cheap. Ways of consuming content on Kindle.
Yes, I've decided I don't like Kindle. I took proper books away with me, but I do tend to get excited about a business book and download it on Kindle, so I can't wait to read it, and then not be able to share it. So that is a good thing, the Kindle thing of sharing in families.
I love my Kindle, but I do have one of those old-fashioned ones that looks like paper, not one of the backlit ones, which I'm not allowed to use on my holidays. I can't use backlit screens because remember, I'm on a 50% screen diet.
Oh yes, of course, and also it does keep you awake something shocking at night, doesn't it?
Oh, that's why I don't read it in the night, see.
Are you sick to death of all the hyped up, quick riches and push button offers out there for making money online? Well, the Fast Start Masterclass will teach and mentor you how to create your own successful online business in under 4 weeks. But you will have to do some work. The most important thing you need to know about us is that we've made a great full-time living working part-time from home for nearly 20 years now. We've also taught many hundreds of people to do the same. Our training is 100% money-back guaranteed. If you follow our simple system, you will get up and running with your new online business in under 4 weeks. You'll get access to everything you need to get started. Strategic planning tools, detailed training videos, weekly live support video webinars. You get your questions answered live, and we've also got a private online support group 24/7 365. Join the Fast Start Masterclass and we guarantee that you'll be up and running within 4 short weeks. Just visit thebusinesssuccessfactory.com to find out more.
We're on to Client Challenge of the Week now rather than Holiday Challenge of the Week.
Yes, we are. And this week is all about financial fears.
Oh, I love a good financial conversation.
What happens when you run out of money? It's interesting. Two clients of mine have reached out to me off list, as we say, to confide in me the state of their finances this week. And one woman had a relatively small debt that she thought was enormous. And the other woman had less than £1,000 in her bank account and was concerned about what would happen when she ran out of money. And she said, she asked me about, she said, what are the circumstances pertaining to bankruptcy? And I went, well, tens and tens of thousands of pounds of the debts you can't pay. And she hadn't got any debt at all, but she thought that when you run out of money, one of the risks was bankruptcy. Well, when you run out of money, the only risk is you can't spend very much for a bit. Yeah. So it's quite interesting, isn't it, that people don't really know what bankruptcy means or the circumstances leading to it. A problem shared is a problem halved. I enable both of them to feel better, and I taught them a lot about it. I've got genius options and alternatives. Nobody really needs to go bankrupt unless you want to, quite frankly. After 40 years of ducking and diving, I've got gazillions of experience of this. And even if you have debts, there are people and charities who will help you. You're far from alone. And there are so many genius solutions to financial problems. The financial fears, are just so debilitating though, aren't they? They keep you awake in the night. I do understand why both these ladies were anxious. And I do occasionally succumb to the financial fear myself, but frankly, the lady who was about to run out of money was in an enviable position. Bankruptcy only rears its ugly head if you've got debts you can't pay. Well, and mostly to HMRC, as we call it in the UK, IRS in America.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only, I had a period of earning well and then a period of earning nothing for 2 years, and I had a horrendous tax bill, which was about 48 grand, I think, because it had taken a while for the accountant to get the figures together. And anyway, it's a long story. And I managed to negotiate instalments with HMRC for £100 a month. And it was only when I couldn't even pay those that, because I did go through a very bad patch, and that they then forced me into bankruptcy, which wrote off all my corporate debts that I had from the hotel. Yeah. I was always very proud of the fact I didn't owe any people money. But anyway, so now it's interesting that you should bring this up on This Week, because first of all, I've received an offer for a credit card for the first time in 4 years, because obviously my credit rating is starting to repair itself after the bankruptcy.
Yes.
Normally I don't even bother with those things. So I think, oh yeah, it won't work. And they say you've been pre-approved. So I thought I'll just idly, curiosity, just go and fill it in. And I was approved. So bloody hell, my credit rating's repairing itself in 4 years.
Well, I think this is something very interesting that people don't understand, is that if you do get yourself in a mess with finances, it does recover, because of course the finance industry actually wants to lend you money, because that's how they make money.
I know. So I've got a £200 credit card on its way, which I'll tell you why I'm going down this road, because I actually have a pay-as-you-go credit card, which works brilliantly, and I love it because there's obviously no temptation. But the thing that we found is that anywhere in the world, if you want to go and hire a car at an airport, you need a working credit card.
Yeah.
We were able to hire a car in Greece because the Greeks are much more cash orientated. So that, we rocked up with the cash and they were happy to give us the car. But, we couldn't have hired it at the airport through one of the big chains. So I'm thinking I'll just take this £200 credit card and spend, say, £100 on it every month, and then pay it back in full and see what happens. Perhaps leave 5. Just play with the credit thing.
Yes.
The other thing, of course, is that if you go to move and they credit check you, you're stuffed unless you've got 6 months' money up front as rent.
Yes.
So it is. Those are the only two limitations I've found in the last 4 years.
Yes.
So the other thing.
I was going to say one more thing as well. People worry about, what if I can't pay the mortgage? Have you any idea how long it takes a mortgage company to make you homeless, even if it gets that bad? You've got months and months. People worry about things. People worry about these things. Of course they have, because they don't know. And the other thing to know is that the mortgage company does not want to make you homeless. They want to go into negotiation with you to see you through a thin patch, because they know you'll come back to good again.
Because if they have to sell your house from out from under you, they're going to get a fraction of the value of it.
Well, not just that, Nicola, they get bad reputation as well. That's not something you want to be seen to be doing as a mortgage lender. It's all that jolly adverts about housing people. It's not about, de-housing people, whatever that word is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the other thing is, I've had my first VAT bill today, which is for the new business, because I went VAT registered on the advice of my mentor, and it is, as predicted, more than I thought it was going to be. Even though I have religiously been putting away 20% of most of the money that comes in, and the reason that is because Facebook advertising charges have got VAT in them, and my bookkeeper hasn't taken that into account. So I think it's going to be coming pretty much what I expected. But I did, when I first opened the statement, have a moment of financial fear, which took me right back to 2 or 3 years ago. And so I think, and it's a nonsense. If you just you have to try and work really hard to capture the thought and think, okay, so what am I really frightened of here? What is really scaring me? And I've just found that everything is negotiable, everything is payable in instalments, even the people like the VAT and the tax office, who are the scariest people around. Actually, I found the rates office were the most frightening when I had after the hotel aftermath. They were the ones who got the heaviest. Worthing Council rates office.
I tell you, Worthing Council got quite heavy with me as well, because I own a flat down there and it was empty for 15 months, which meant I had to pay the council tax, even though the property is empty, which is a dreadful, iniquitous business. Nobody's living in the flat, you're not using any of the council charges, but I, the landlady, had to pay for that. And they did threaten me with, I got some kind of, I'll see you in court in 5 minutes type of communication from Worthing. So they're obviously quite beastly down there, Nicola.
Yeah, and they actually turned up at my house and demanded 700 quid and waited while I went to the bank to get it.
Yeah.
Thank God I had it. Otherwise, they would have started taking my furniture away.
Yes.
So that was.
So what's our core message here is it is quite difficult to, the point we were making about the state of the world and the news and we all go to work because we're frightened that we won't be able to pay our bills. That's part of our indoctrination, really, isn't it? So how can we, I liked the point you said there, everything's negotiable. Everybody will take instalments, even the blue meanies. As long as you don't have any business affairs in Worthing, you're all right.
Nobody. To be fair, that was 3 years after the debt was incurred, so
nobody really wants you to be homeless. Running out of money does not constitute a bankruptcy risk. Debts might, but only if they're insurmountable, and you don't meet many people with those. Everybody that you owe money to would rather have something rather than nothing, and they'd rather be in dialogue with you. How can we stop people being financially fearful?
Well, they have to. There's three things really. One is to have a practical system for managing your cash flow. We talk about this all the time, don't we? And that is the one thing that lets me sleep at night, is knowing what I spend this week, what impact that's going to have 3 months down the line. And the second thing is the catching yourself when you feel that fear and trying to identify what's the worst that can happen. I mean, one of my mentors once famously and very funnily said to me, you can relax at the weekends because they're not going to come and get you. You don't owe money to anyone who's going to send someone to kneecap you. So you can, all of those employees go home on Friday night and they do not think about Nicola Cairncross and how much she owes their corporation they work for over the weekend. So take the weekend off and come back at it on Monday. And
I do think this. I think this story of financial fear and debt and getting into trouble with the VAT man and so forth, it does go with the territory of being self-employed. And I think over the years you build up a certain amount of you get inured to it. Do you know what I mean? You get tougher.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, when I think about, when Steve was an employee and worked for the restaurant, and he says, looking back then, he was terrified if he was one day late paying his mobile phone bill. And now, he's been through the whole ringer with us, with the money gym and everything closing down suddenly. And he's toughened up tremendously. He said, it's actually a really positive thing for him, because that was the one thing he was scared of, was big corporations, and he totally isn't anymore. So
yeah.
They've and I think that's a really important thing to remember, is when you're talking to these people, they don't actually give a hoot about you and your money and your debt, because they're employees. You don't owe it to them personally. So many people get so shamed and embarrassed when they have to ring someone like the tax office or the rates office or the VAT office or anyone really, these people are employees, unless you're talking to the business owner, in which case you do directly owe that person the money. They don't actually care at the end of the day. They go home at 5 o'clock and have a drink and forget all about you.
Well, it's interesting you should bring up the word shame there, because one of my correspondents did say to me in the email, "I'm so ashamed." I said, "Now look, there's no shame in debt, and let me tell you why. Because borrowing money is only 50% of the decision. The person who lent you the money took the other 50% of the decision. It's not all on you, the person who owes. They made a lending decision, you made a borrowing decision. And it's a problem actually for them, not for you. If you can't pay them back, it's their problem."
There's a famous Donald Trump saying along those lines, isn't it? It's something along the lines of, if I owe you less than $1 million, it's my problem. If I owe you more than $1 million, it's yours.
Well, there you go. I think people do feel shame, and there need be no shame attached to debt or money worries or anything like that. We all go through it at one time or another, and it toughens you up. There was a famous play, which I've never seen, called Can't Pay, Won't Pay. If you haven't got it, if you can't pay, you can't pay.
Yeah, that's very true. And I've been through many times when I really have had to scrape cash together to go and get some shopping for the food for the weekend. And it really makes you appreciate the more abundant times that come afterwards. And
yeah, that's true. That's very. I remember when we had the money gym, we used to do those Wednesday weekly calls where people would ring in. And I remember saying to you, this is a famous anecdote now. I remember saying to you after one of the calls, "There's nothing we can do for that woman. She's got no time, no money, no energy, no nothing. It's hopeless for her. The bailiffs will be in by the end of the week." They absolutely have not been in a decade, and that woman is still as she ever was. So honestly, the money always comes from somewhere, whether it's family or friends or this week I discovered that somebody owed me 700 quid, a sort of service charge bill that I'd overpaid. I'd no idea. The other man in the building, he's owed 1,800 quid. We're both skipping around delightedly because we were owed money we weren't expecting. Money always comes from somewhere. I have frequently in the last 40 years got to the end of the month and gone, I don't know where it's going to come from. It always comes from somewhere.
Well, it's more likely to if you're self-employed. I think if you're employed, it's less likely to come from somewhere because you're not doing the activities that generates these random bits of cash.
Possibly, but people don't die because they haven't got any money.
No, and you can always generally find something at the back of the cupboard to cobble a meal together out of. That's why.
Yes, I definitely think that mostly, yes. There was a ghastly thing in that series of programs I've been watching about the gambling where people spend their benefits and then they've got nothing to eat for 2 weeks. They get very thin.
Oh, God. Okay. That's a benefit in my book. Anyway,
they've still got a cupboard with the odd tin in it and they've got a roof over their heads.
I find one of the tools I use against financial fear is feeling grateful. Is the minute I find financial fear creeping up on me, I think what I'm most grateful for. And if I'm grateful for the fact that I've got something to eat tonight and a hot shower for tomorrow morning, and perhaps a book to read or a television program to watch, I'm good. That's how little it takes for me to be able to banish financial fear.
Well, I think that's good, Nicola. I'll tell you why, because what you've done is you've brought yourself into the present moment, and we're always all right in the present moment.
Yeah, that mindfulness and being in the present moment is not only the secret of happiness. I'm starting to think it's the secret of success.
It might be, yeah. Wow.
Because if you're not ruminating about the past and going over the things you failed at in the past, and you're not worrying about the future, you're in the place where you can actually step up and take some action right now to make things better.
Yes, they do say as well that if you're living in the past, it's depression. If you're living in the future, it's anxiety. The present moment is all there is. We must appreciate. That's how I brought myself back on Monday when I got quite down. It was the sitting in the armchair, enjoying the book, enjoying the garden, watching the listening. The favourite thing I have at the moment is listening to the breeze in the trees and feeling that breeze. You can't fail to be in the present moment, and you're all right now. You're always all right now.
Yeah, very true. Nice one. Word of the week.
Okay. Yeah. You going first?
I could do if you like. Boundaries.
Okay.
It's something I constantly challenged by, and I found myself going over and above for one of my clients the other day, and they're at the bottom level of I should just be sending them traffic really and creating leads for them, but I like this person. They've got a lot of the key elements to succeed big. They've got a fantastic personality. They've got marvellous materials. They've done everything right so far. They're just sort of faltering at the final hurdle, really. So I found myself doing a bit of Infusionsoft development, setting up a lead page and coaching them through what they needed to provide to me for me to be able to do all this stuff. And I thought, not being paid for this, why am I doing it? But sometimes you just get moved, don't you, to go above and beyond that little bit extra. And I think actually that's one of the things that gives work meaning for me, is being able to help someone. But it's a challenge constantly trying not, because people don't, I'm not saying this person won't appreciate it, but sometimes you do over and above for people, and they just totally don't appreciate what you've done, and it's almost wasted in a way.
Mm. Yes, boundaries, something I've struggled with a lot in my life. Not quite so bad these days, but it's been awful in the past. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So I suppose you have to just sort of think, why am I doing this? And in this case with this person, it was because she's so close and she's done so much herself, and I just want to give her a leg over the final hurdle. But I'm better with corporations where they try and, project creep it's called, where they just try and add one more thing and one more thing and one more thing. But
yeah.
Yes, squidgy boundaries. We've talked about this before, haven't we?
We have. I think women particularly, maybe men, but women particularly, I think, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, so toughen up those walls this week. What's your word of the week then?
So my word of the week, coming from some of the reading that I've been doing, is adventure. You remember Cheryl Strayed and Wild that we read earlier in the year?
Oh yes, very good.
And my favourite is Bill Bryson's A Walk in the Woods, and one of my clients has written an adventure book, and I've written a blog post about it. The one I found this week was called The Kindness of Strangers, Penniless Across America. It was written in the 90s by an American journalist called Mike McIntyre, and interestingly, again, we're back to the topic of fearfulness, and I'm going to read you just a tiny bit about it. He set off from San Francisco, and the goal was to get across America with no money in his pocket, so he would have to accept lodgings and food from other people. His final destination was Cape Fear, and this is what he says as he sets off on his journey. I'm afraid. I've been afraid my whole life. I was born scared. I grew up afraid of the babysitter, the mailman, the birds in the trees, the next door neighbour's cat. I'm afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of the ocean. I'm afraid of flying. I'm afraid of the city, and I'm afraid of the wilderness. I'm afraid of crowds, and I'm afraid to be alone. I'm afraid of failure, and I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid of fire, lightning, earthquakes. I'm afraid of snakes. I'm afraid of bats. I'm afraid of bears. I'm afraid of spontaneous human combustion. I'm afraid of losing an arm. I'm afraid of losing a leg. I'm afraid of losing my mind. Yes, and I'm afraid of dying too. But what really scares the hell out of me is living. I'm afraid. Now, this man, I think he was probably in his 20s, perhaps his 30s. No, he was in his 30s. Backpack. He had breakfast in San Francisco, and he gave the change to what the Americans call a panhandler. Somebody sitting on the street begging. Yeah. And he set off without a credit card. He have a tent? I'm not even sure he had a tent. He had a backpack. So he had a hitch across America. And when people said, "What are you doing?" he said, "I'm going across America with no money." And they offered him food and lodging, and it usually came from the poorest people.
That's awesome. So how did he manage to get himself to do that? Was there some sort of life event that prompted him to do that, in spite of all that fear?
He was already a journalist and quite a good writer, as you heard from that bit that I've just read out. And he had travelled well. But I think he just got a sense that life was passing him by. He needed to do something to get out of that trap of all those fears, I think.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting journalistic proposition, isn't it? Will I be dead by the side of the road within 24 hours, as everybody assumed, a bit like your story last week about the fears of other people, or will Americans surprise me? This was in the 90s, and going across America, I mean, I can't remember, I've lost count of how many states he went across, but he was interviewed by local radio stations, and he did talks in schools because people met him and said, "Will you come to school and talk?" and things like that. And quite a lot of those people he'd met had never been never been further than half an hour away from where they lived, let alone out of the state.
Yeah. It's great.
So,
I particularly loved his fear of spontaneous combustion.
yes. So, adventures. I love books about adventures. And I think, as you said at the beginning about the restlessness continues, I think it's because we're psyching ourselves up for an adventure ourselves all the time, isn't it? And sometimes we're fearful and homebound, and other times we're adventurous. So my word of the week is adventure, and I will be doing more reading about people who do journeys like this. I think they're fun.
Yeah, I love those kind of books. So I've written that one down. It sounds great. Okay, let's go for our project updates then. What's been happening in your wacky world of alternative?
Well, yes, I promised I would tell you this week about matched betting.
Yeah.
Misnamed because there's no gambling going on at all. What you are taught to do is to use the free bets that all of the online betting shops give you, and you're taught to make a back bet, which is where you back a team or a horse to win, and to lay it off on another website where they draw or lose.
Yeah.
So actually, you've bet both sides of any. You've bet both sides, and you've used free money to do it. So you're going to win one or other of those bets, and you've used free money to do it.
Yeah.
So the first 2 days, he teaches you how to do that on 2 betting sites. And I was £28 up after the 2 days just following his instructions. Now, he says that if you do follow his instructions, which immediately get a lot more serious, you could make £2,000 a month. However, if I only make 28 quid in a weekend, that's still 400 a month, not to be sniffed at. Quite intense training, and exactly the opposite of what I told you about last week, which was 100% passive. This is 100% active. It's going to be 30 to 60 minutes a day, but that could make 500 a week. You do need a spreadsheet because you have to keep totting up what sums of money you've got where, and you've got lots of accounts open with different betting shops. And you can fool yourself into thinking you're winning or losing, but actually you don't know until you've added up, because it doesn't really matter whether you win or lose, because one or other of them will be a winner for you somewhere. It particularly suits, as I said, I think, lords, accumulators and mechanics, people down the left-hand side, people who can do as they're told, they like a system. It's video tuition. I'm only, what is it today, Wednesday? I'm 5 days into it, and I didn't achieve much. I did achieve nothing on Monday, but I didn't. What did I achieve yesterday? I managed to open a new account, but some of them take a while to send you the free bet. So sometimes initially progress is a bit slow, but fun.
Oh, okay. And you're good with a spreadsheet. That's.
I'm not bad with a spreadsheet, but I was rather shocked when I filled out my one yesterday, because I thought I'd won 11. Well, I had won £21, but then I realised, I'd lost in the other place. So if I added up, haven't actually achieved anything. No, of course, because the point of yesterday's was just to qualify for the free bet, which I'll get today. And so today is the day I make money. But you can do both of those on the same day if the company. So you pay 5 to win 20, to get a free bet of 20 or something like that. But you have to wait for them to send you the £20 free one. So if you can do that in the same day, it's faster, but not all of them do it that quickly.
Well, it sounds quite fun. Do you think I'd be even remotely capable of following the system?
Well, what's brilliant? Yes, I do. I'll tell you why, because it's video-based training, and you're not bad at videos. And what he does is, what you'll love about it is the fast start. In the first 2 days, you make this free money, and you've got the principles of the system. Okay, it gets more complex from there. But if that first 2 days grabs you, it's cost you nothing to learn it. Quite the opposite. Yeah. In his fees, there's nothing to pay, and quite the opposite. You end up 20 quid up.
Well, again, I do know someone in my mastermind group who has made an absolute fortune from sports betting. So there is a positive example in my brain. So
well, I tell you what's making me laugh a lot, which is, for the first time in my life, 60 years, I'm going to be interested in football.
Football? What?
Well, because I'm going to be betting on, Chelsea to win and lose.
This is great. Oh, my God. We've got to have a crack at this. Excellent. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing the introduction video later then.
Okay, lovely. Tell me your project update.
Well, it's been a bit of a week of client wobbles, I'm afraid. Remember I mentioned client wobbles before?
Yes.
Basically, I've got one client who's on a very tight budget indeed, and I came back from holiday to find that 3 clients had paused their campaigns. And there's nothing that makes me crosser faster than clients take it into their heads to do that without talking to me first, because you lose all the data off the pixels. So if you're on an optimized for leads campaign, your campaign is looking all the time to see the people who are opting in and looking for more people like them. But if you pause your campaign for, say, 3 days, the pixel that tracks leads and the kind of people who are opting in loses the data. We're not absolutely sure if it's 24 hours or longer. It seems to be okay if you restart the campaign within a week, but any longer than that, and you have to go back to your driving traffic, waiting until people opt in, and then the pixel.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not a great thing to do on the client front. But I can also understand why they do it, because in the early days,
It's expensive.
the clicks and leads are looking expensive, and they haven't got time. They haven't had time to go and find more people like the people who are doing the actions, clicking and opting in. So even though we tell clients that at the beginning, the corporate clients don't seem to have such a problem with it. I suppose because the people running the campaigns it's not their money. It's exactly the same things we were talking about in financial fear, wasn't it? So they're not so emotionally attached to the cash. But the clients who have the wobbles are the ones where they're solopreneurs, and even the ones who are quite well off seem to overreact when they see leads, for £5, £10, £15, and even the ones that I have told it's going to come down within the next week to a more acceptable level don't seem to be able to keep that in their head when they're looking at a campaign that's looking expensive. And I'm not absolutely sure how to get around this. I've thought about the idea of going for the 3-month payment up front, so they are psychologically committed to 3 months regardless. That is proving a little bit of a challenge in terms of technical setting it up in Infusionsoft. So it takes 3 months money in advance, and then it stops, and then after 3 months it starts taking recurring billing again. That's a bit of a challenge to set up technically. So I haven't been able to do it yet. So it's the only fly in the ointment of this business at the moment is managing clients' emotional expectations. And
well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't quite know what to do about it. The other thing is that because of this, I am tempted to join the foundation. Do you know what the foundation is?
No, it sounds like some Illuminati thing.
Well, it's not. It's a couple of really smart guys in I think they're in Canada, and they teach people how to create software. But they teach people how to create software, not how to do the coding, but how to find a need in a marketplace and then develop software to fill that need. And I'm feeling very drawn to that because, it is a constant challenge for me, the person-to-person communication in business.
Yeah.
And I'm very drawn to the idea of just creating software that fills a need. People either buy it or they don't. They either carry on subscribing to it or they don't. It's software as a system, so it's the stuff you subscribe to online.
Yeah, I tell you, that's the thing about the match betting and the sports betting. There's no people involved.
Yeah, which is definitely an easier life, that's for sure.
But I think both is great, but all dependence on one you can't throw in the towel, can you?
No, and I think the other thing I could do, apart from developing software as a system product, is to work on my membership site more. Somebody found their way to it.
Can I say, you've always been fascinated by software as a system?
Yes, true, actually, I have. And I quite like the techie geeky bits of it as well. So
yeah.
And this is the foundation. They take you through what they call problem discovery. So you pick your niche of people, and then funny enough, you just mentioned it the other day about cold calling them. You talk to people to find out what their need is, and they've got a set script for doing that. And then only once you've uncovered the need, do you then say to the potential clients, okay, so if I developed a software to take care of that need, would you pay X amount for it? And if I do it and let you get in early, basically the clients end up paying for the software to be developed.
Yes.
So it's a very, very attractive training course indeed, and there's lots of psychological stuff around it as well, because they realise that the thing that stops people taking action, and they've got lots of backup in the training to cope with the psychological side of things. So I'm very tempted to join that this September. Not quite.
How much is it approximately, Nicola?
Don't know. It used to be about $5,000 for 6 months training, but they've got a course coming out in September, which is 8 weeks. So I'm not sure how much that one is, but you have to apply before they'll tell you.
Yes, obviously.
So I might apply just to see, and I am thinking about it because I really do find the idea of a lovely bit of software quite attractive.
Okay, so let's move on to who or what's impressed you this week.
My girl has impressed me this week. Young Phoebe. We spent quite a bit of time on holiday talking about her future, and all of them, actually, all of the young people of her age are impressing me. But she was asked if she wanted to become a licensee at the pub that she works at, the gastro pub. And she has moved up through the ranks just by virtue of attrition, really, people going off travelling and things like that. So she's now in a sort of almost management role. And if they make her a licensee, she will be the next sort of, under manager. But they've also asked her if she'd like to take charge of the social media for the pub, which is woefully lacking. And I've always said that my kids aren't particularly interested in sitting at computers, although they are very active on some social media. She relentlessly turned the focus of her attention on this. She's so like my ex-husband in this effect when she makes her mind up. So she sat Steve and I down, she grilled us, she made a mind map of what she needed to go into this meeting with. She took notes. She put together a proposal. She got me to print out copies for everyone who was going to be at the meeting. She went into the meeting. She pitched her plan. They accepted it wholesale, which involves a new website, which is obviously being created by Steve.
Yeah.
She's got Steve some business. And she then decided that she needed a proper laptop. And this was the bit that impressed me the most. She felt the fear, but she dug £1,000 out of her savings. I had no idea she had that much in her savings. And she's been, she's been putting 50% of her income away. And she bought herself cash, a new laptop, a Mac. And it arrived yesterday, and I gave her the good news that now she was in business as a social media manager, it would be a tax-deductible expense. So, she's now decided that she might make this her career. She feels really, really excited about it.
Ooh.
So all of that, and I see them all. I see them all on Facebook. They're all stepping into their lives now. They're all finding out what they're good at, finding out what they don't like, and they're all stepping into it. It's just incredible to watch, really.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you then?
Well, further on my theme of adventures, I've got rather a lot of colleagues and clients who are house sitting all over the world. Indeed, you have a family member who does it. Okay. And it facilitates them going on adventures. I've got clients, colleagues, friends in the UK, Ireland, Bali, Australia and New Zealand doing house sitting. And going back to your point at the beginning about restlessness continuing, obviously these people who are getting very comfortable with restlessness and they just move around looking after people's animals and houses and having little mini adventures. I'm quite excited by the prospect of this.
Yeah, the drawback for me is the going into a house with strange animals in it, but some people don't seem to mind, do they?
No, not at all. Animal lovers, basically.
Yeah, well, I'm an animal lover, but from a distance.
Well, you're not really, because you haven't grown up with or had as cats and dogs around you. And if you have that, then you just get a facility with them, obviously.
Yeah, I suppose so. I do like them, but I much prefer to watch on the telly.
Yeah, or Facebook.
So this is actually a great way to get a free holiday, isn't it? To go and house sit someone's place.
Yes. But I've got somebody we know that we work with in the money gyms actually doing it as a way of life. A bit like, do you remember that there was one of your heroes, one of the Webby people, cracked his possessions down to a backpack? Do you remember?
Oh yes, I do, and he took pictures of the backpack as well. Who was it?
Yes, well, one of our mutual colleagues has done that. Got rid of all of her possessions. Her mother died. She was looking after her mother for a while. Her mother died, and now she's just gone. She's in, I can't remember where she said she was this week, somewhere in the West Country. She's got rid of her possessions and is light on the planet and can move around and has 2 or 3 house sits lined up.
Yeah, that American couple I know. They're in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico for a month.
Yeah.
And they've just had the most amazing trip through Europe. It's quite incredible to watch it. Yeah, I'm really impressed by those people. I mean, the thought of, when I go to a new house, I can't sleep for 2 nights just while I acclimatise. So anyone who does that for a couple of weeks is very brave.
Well, I do think it's unsettling. And I learned a very valuable tip from one of my clients who, when she got back to New Zealand, having done this, she said, well, I don't want to get comfortable here. And I was able to share that with a lady who'd just come back from Sydney but lives in Dublin and also doesn't want to stay in Dublin. I said, well, the trick is you mustn't get comfortable there. You must get uncomfortable with discomfort. You must get comfortable with discomfort.
Yes, because that's where you grow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I booked a trip to Australia next year with not even knowing, if I could even bear to travel that far on a plane and that they've got the largest amount of spiders on the planet. But I'm going anyway. Yeah.
And who are you going to visit in Australia?
I'm going off for a conference, of course, because I like purposeful travel. But I'll tell you all about it nearer the time.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go.
Thank you very much. Another episode in the can. Thank you very much for joining me, and
Not at all.
we'll talk next week.
Okay, see you, girl.
Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.